It's your fault that they don't know you well enough for them to trust you with the biggest financial, most stressful decision of their life, to list their home to sell. And in order to do that, the greatest way to do that is to be in front of them with videos every single day. If you can, multiple times a day. So I'm at like 14,009, I'll say I'm at 15,000 followers on Instagram. That means that for all of my reels should be at 1,500 or up. That's the gauge. And also, it's a great way to see there's a lot of people in our space or in other spaces. Oh, they've got 50,000 followers. Guess what? They're paying for those followers. They're fake.
Hey everybody, Jose Luis Morales here. Welcome back to another episode of the Morales Group Show. Today we have a very special guest, the one and only Jeff Fargo with Fidelity Title. And today, Jeff is going to teach us how to market yourself on social media as a real estate agent. Now, the good thing is that a lot of these principles are going to apply to everyone, meaning if you run a restaurant, if you run another type of business, you'll still be able to implement these strategies, but we're going to focus primarily on the real estate agent topic today. Welcome to the show, Jeff. How are you?
I'm well, Jose. Thanks. Pleasure to be here. Looking forward to it. Let's get it on, man. Let's do it.
So for our viewers out there, we're going to be talking about podcasting. We're going to talk about short-term content. We're going to talk about Instagram, LinkedIn, and just basically how to build a ecosystem where you stay in front of your target audience and be able to grow like a very strong online presence. So Jeff, for our viewers that don't know who you are, who is Jeff Fargo? And then how did you get so involved in digital strategy and content creation?
I'm a guy with ADHD. I take enough Adderall to kill a family of 4. And so my head never stops going in terms of moving forward momentum. And I've been doing digital strategy since America Online, AOL, in the early 90s is when I first started. And I learned that, boy, if you post the right thing with back then it was just photos, hundreds of people, back then, if more than 30 people saw my post, I was tickled and thought it was amazing. And then that, naturally progressed into MySpace. I'm an early adopter of Facebook, been on that for almost 15 years, Instagram. And now I'm on, I'm big on TikTok, big on Instagram, love YouTube, LinkedIn, all the major socials I'm on, and I'm posting short form content every single day. And have lost all my hair because of it. It's okay. I look like someone drew a smiley face on a thumb, but I still get people that want to listen to what I have to say.
Got it. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, for our viewers that don't know you, you actually mentioned to me off camera that you had a recent short-term video that got 2.1 million views, right?
Yeah. I have a podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, YouTube called Fargo Talks. And that's my podcast. And I just bring in super cool people that are friends of mine, mostly in the real estate sector here in Las Vegas. And now I have people flying in from all over the country to come on it. So I should preface that. And the one video that has gone viral, along with some other ones now, I'm not even talking about real estate. I'm talking about parenting and my view of parenting, how I don't coddle my kids and how I see other parents coddling their kids. I'm not saying what I'm doing is better than what you're doing if you are a helicopter parent, but that's just my view and how I feel that my kids in 10, 15 years from now, if they're going for the same job that a kid who's been coddled, his or her own life, my kids are going to eat that kid's lunch all day long because that kid's going to be asking to have questions answered where my kids are already learning now how to figure things out for themselves. And so that's gone globally viral at now 2.1 million views. Pretty cool.
You know what's crazy? Like I have a friend that kind of brought this to my attention. A lot of times we don't realize, because I've had some videos get to 2.1 million views as well too. And I don't think we realize how many people that actually is. Like I'm not aware like what's the largest stadium in the United States, but I'm guessing it's maybe a couple 100,000. So imagine like 10 stadiums filled. That's how much exposure you got. It almost, I'm imagining that that's more views or equivalent views to like a Super Bowl commercial. That's the power that is available to business owners, real estate agents out there as well too. So you mentioned the Fargo Talks as the podcast. Like, why did you decide to start a podcast? And what are the benefits of having a podcast? Because this is probably my favorite part of my job, the podcast, by far.
Same. I love it. I'll do this all day, every day. I freaking love this. This is better than going to open houses. I'll tell you that much. I think that what got me involved is September of last year. My mom was in Tampa. I'm in Las Vegas. Only child, raised by a single mom, and she started getting sick. She was 79, about to turn 80. So for about 6 months, I was going back and forth almost every other weekend from Las Vegas to Tampa to take care of my mom. And that started in September. And about November, I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Because I saw my mom was coming to the end of hers, and she passed away in February. So I thought to myself, I've been in real estate for 30 years. I've had some great conversations, like thousands of great conversations over 30 years with some amazing people. What if a camera was there and some microphones? Oh my gosh. And what if you took that half an hour or 1 hour content and cut it down to 30-second, 15-second little snippets of just bombs that they're dropping and you're dropping, and share that with zero expectation of reciprocity. It's purely for karma to just say, this is what I've got in my head. I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I think I'm pretty good with what I do, and let me share with what I know, as my friends do as well. And Fargo Talks was born, and now it's turned in from a newborn to I'd say not a toddler, so it's probably like an 8-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid that's trying, figuring its stuff out, and now building a sizable following on, everywhere on the world. Pretty cool.
I love it. My favorite thing about the podcast is, Jeff, is that I get to sit down with people like you, and I get to learn from them for 1 hour, and I get to have conversations with them. And I've learned so much from having the podcast. The other thing that I like about it is that you're somewhat, in some cases, educating people as well too. And whenever you're educating or teaching people something, they start seeing you as a resource or an authority in your community. Have you seen any impact in your business since you started the podcast?
Absolutely. In the past, and again, it's still valid, but you were an expert in any business if you wrote a book. If you wrote a book, you were the guy. Like I'm from New York. You always say, I got a guy. You were the man if you wrote a book in something, even if it's, how to change your oil. You write a book. Well, now it's having a podcast. And it's taken a book and added a third dimension to that, where you have video and audio going back and forth. So now, I've luckily, knock on wood, now have relationships that are monetizing with brokers in town, with real estate agents here in town, who I would have probably never gotten business with them ever. But they've come in, we've had a really honest, transparent talk, and not always about real estate. And that's the biggest thing I have to, let everyone who's watching know. When you're a realtor, guess what? Anyone that you're friends with, they can swing a dead cat and they're going to hit 4 realtors that they already know. And the greatest dagger in your heart is when your neighbor, your friend, a family member lists their home with somebody else. But guess whose fault that is? It's your fault. That they don't know you well enough for them to trust you with the biggest financial, most stressful decision of their life, to list their home to sell. And in order to do that, the greatest way to do that is to be in front of them with videos every single day. And if you can, multiple times a day. You just keep sending them stuff. And then organically, they're going to come to you because they've seen your brand over and over and over.
It's funny, Jeff, that you mentioned that, because as a real estate agent / investor, my goal when somebody comes into my ecosystem is to get them to start watching the podcast, knowing that if they start watching the podcast, I'm going to make connections with some of them. Not only that, but they're going to get to know me. Not only that, but in some cases, they're going to see how knowledgeable you are about certain things. Now, when they think real estate, a lot of times, because you are in front of them, you're going to be the first person that they think about when it relates to real estate. So for our viewers out there that maybe are saying, well, maybe I should have a podcast. Maybe I would like to interview cool guests like Jeff. Like, what would be the process for starting the podcast in a way where you get good exposure on it, so it's worth your time. Maybe you could give some tips on attracting guests, equipment, topics, etc.
First thing is who are you going to talk to? Who is your, and for that, it's who's your target audience, but really your audience is going to find you. So don't worry about your audience. Who are you going to talk to? And come up with a list of, 7, 8 people that in the past you've had great conversations with. And it doesn't have to be about real estate. Actually, I would suggest if you're a realtor, don't have other realtors on. Don't have lenders on. Don't have title people like me on. I never talk about title and escrow, by the way, on any of my podcasts. And I've shot 30 episodes. Don't talk about it at all. Title and escrow is boring. Please. So get people that, are mi familia. You love them. They're your ride or dies. And it's people that you go out for drinks with, that you break bread with, that you've known for years, and you love and trust and respect them. And get them on your podcast. And in terms of notes, I personally don't do it. Other people do. It all depends on how you're wired. I shoot things fast and loose. That's my ADHD. I can just have a conversation with anybody at any time. My kids call it chit chat. And I tell my kids, well, chit chat paid for the pool to get redone at your mom's house. So chit chat pays the bills, kids. And they get it now. So I think it's first finding the list of guests you want to have, and get 8. You want to get about 8 to start with, because you want to be doing at least 1 a week. Then it comes down to budget, because your budget's going to dictate your equipment. And I use a studio here in Vegas, and I think it's $350 for every single episode that's edited with, and you get a 1-hour edited video, and it's excellent. Level 9 Studio, Scott Vera, he's the best in town. He was just up in San Francisco filming an interview with Elon Musk at Twitter headquarters. He's the man, and so I use him. Other people get their own equipment. If you do that, I would talk to somebody who's a good video editor and see what they recommend, and have them, show you what to buy. Any good editor will show you, because they're the ones on the back end editing the stuff. So I use a studio. Then you go ahead, you do your thing for 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. Don't be held to the clock. Just let the conversation take a natural flow. If after 45 minutes it's died a natural death, mazel tov, we're done. Thanks for coming on. But I've had some that have gone hour and a half, and they were wonderful. So you do that. I then get my edited video about 2 to 3 days after that episode. It's sent to me via the internet on a website. I then send that I have a team that goes ahead and chops up, edits all my long form videos into short form edited videos. Now, most people are probably at the price point, they can't afford that, because that's thousands of dollars a month I'm paying. A great app to use is CapCut, CAPCUT. It's free. It's $3 and free cents. And I recommend that to anyone who's just starting out to do a podcast. You could chop up your own stuff, or get your assistant to do it, or your kids. I tried it. I was sitting next to my daughter for 2 hours, and she said, "What the heck are you doing, Dad?" I go, "You're right. I'm done. I'm going to write a check instead." I'm good at swiping on my Chase Bank app for things. I'm very good, Jose, at paying for things. So that's what I did. And then I get batched from my team short form content clips every month. And then I'm the one, I do post all my own stuff. I create the headlines. I create the descriptions. I use AI sometimes to do that. And I go ahead and push out on YouTube Shorts. I push it out on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook business page, Facebook personal page, Instagram stories, Instagram your feed. And I do it every single day, rinse and repeat. And I started the second week in January, and my audience really started to grow early March, beginning of April is when things really started to take off. And now a lot of my reels, most of my reels, the gauge for people on Instagram is take 10% of your audience, and that's how many people should be looking at your reels. So I'm at like 14,009, I'll say I'm at 15,000 followers on Instagram. That means that for all of my reels should be at 1,500 or up. That's the gauge. And also, it's a great way to see there's a lot of people in our space or in other spaces Oh, they've got 50,000 followers. Guess what? They're paying for those followers. They're fake. And that's a great way if you are looking to see if you want to start following somebody online, if they're real or not. Look at their reels. By the way, you should post every video you're posting on Instagram, post it in reels, because that gets the best algorithm love. Don't do it a regular post. So look at their reels. When they're posting there, is it 10% or more of their follower count? That's some inside baseball for you.
Got it. I love it. Now, I think that kind of leads us to like the short-term content. And it's funny because I started doing short-term content maybe like a year and a half ago. And the virality that was associated with the short-term content was ridiculous. Like I had videos go 2.2 million, a million. And like I remember one night I had a video going off and it was like my first video that went viral. And I remember trying to reply back to everybody on the comments. And it was so difficult because I couldn't. It was just like overwhelming trying to run a real estate company and obviously trying to reply back to everybody else. So, what strategies do you think, like, why short-term content for you? And what advice would you give around Reels and TikToks and maybe even like Facebook Reels? I believe they have the Reels as well, too.
Regarding what to do in terms of your content and why short form content works so well, it's because one of the most valuable assets we have right now is our attention. You're getting bombarded every day with stuff, right? And I don't mean ads. I mean, if you're on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, you're always seeing, here's Aunt Fern going to Catalina with the kids, and you're like, oh, way to go, Fern. Here's a heart. But where you spend your time is valuable, because how many of us go to bed at night and you're exhausted and you're like, what the hell did I do today? What did I accomplish today? I'm pooped. Well, I liked a bunch of people's posts online. Stop it. Just stop. And spend more time on, like, there's a lot of people, full disclosure, that they might be following me or I follow them. I don't, I'll mute them on Instagram. If they're not putting out consistent content where I really am gonna, want to follow them, I probably unfollow them. They have to earn the right for my attention because it's so valuable now. I'm a dad. I have other stuff going on in my life, much more important than being in the real estate sector here in Las Vegas and being for Fidelity National Title. So that to me is a big one. You've got to put stuff out that is meaningful for you. Don't worry about your audience yet. You'll grab the audience like you talked about. You started doing it and the virality is incredible. And to get, just so you know, I looked at the research, to get a reel to hit over 2 million views like we have, that's less than 0.01% of every reel that's posted on Instagram. That's how rare it is. It's crazy.
What do you think made that one video get to 2.1 million views? Like, what do you think it was?
I told people how to parent. And how dare you tell me how to parent? Like, that's the one thing, like, I could have the ugliest baby in the world, and I know it, and my wife and I might joke about it behind my baby's back, but guess what? If you freaking tell me that my baby's ugly, I'm coming for you. And even better yet, I can come for you on a platform where I can hide who I am. I don't have to tell you who I am. I can be totally anonymous and say the meanest things I want to say to you, or praise you for what's going on. And luckily with mine about parenting, 97% of it has been unbelievably positive. But I'm the one that decides if somebody offends me or not. So if someone leaves a nasty comment on any of my posts, 99.9% of the time, I leave it there. Because guess what? That helps you with the algorithms to see that then, like say Instagram, it'll push it to even more people because they want to see a conversation going on, good, bad, or ugly. So if you tell me that I'm bald with an oily T-zone and I'm ugly or whatever, okay, thank you so much. I'll reply with like a bald emoji or something like that and laughing and move on from there. So that's a big one, is be careful for what you wish for, because when you do have a post that goes viral, and if you post every day or with frequency, you will have eventually it'll go viral. And don't be offended. Those people are fighting a war or a battle internally that you want nothing to do with. And you are the one that sets the expectation for you to be offended, for you to be happy, or for you to be sad or angry at somebody. And life is too short. Life is too short to harbor resentment against someone you don't even know.
You know what's funny? That when I had videos go viral, I would have some people put some pretty mean stuff at the beginning. And my way of dealing with it, I would just reply back, "Thank you for your support." Like, and they weren't actually supporting me. They were like actually like talking like really bad stuff about me. What I was going to ask you is, how do you deal with negative feedback? And then also, what's like the meanest thing anybody has ever said to you? Just out of curiosity,
Oh,
online.
the how I deal with the negative feedback is I'll always do the, well, the best one is just like the laughing emoji. I'll do that. Or, I'm 53. So in internet years, that makes me, 104, which is fine. The best negative comments I've gotten is they'll say, well, you're old, you probably have low testosterone. And I will tag my age appropriate 42-year-old girlfriend and say, I don't think so, but check with at Brandy.Andrews. And she'll go in there and go, no, Jeff is just fine in that department. Thank you very much.
That's so funny. How much
So
did
that's
you have?
awesome.
How much did you pay her to say that for you? Just out of curiosity.
You know what? I have found, Jose, I've hit the Powerball in terms of a partner. She's absolutely fantastic. I'm head over heels in love with her because she puts up with me. And I love her eternally and dearly. She's the best.
I love it. So if somebody
Yeah.
wanted to start off with like one of the platforms, somebody wanted to start off with like either a podcast, either a TikTok or Instagram or a LinkedIn, which one would you say would be best for them to start off with? Or would you recommend a little bit on every single one of them, and why?
Yeah, you know what? I would, if you're going to do the podcast, shoot your pod, do that, and then pick one platform in the beginning. If you're going to pick one, I'd start with Instagram. Massive audience, massive amount of data owned by Meta. So it's Facebook and Instagram combined. No one can really touch them. They're still the 800-pound gorilla in the room. TikTok is a very close second, but TikTok is more eyeballs, not as much commenting. Where on Instagram, you're going to get more engagement. Engagement means comments. Getting a like on your post doesn't matter. What you want is people to comment is big, that you want them to bookmark it, to save it. That's huge. The really big one is they share it. Not only are they loving your content, but they're sharing it with their audience. And that's something that I've mastered on Instagram. And here's some inside baseball for you as well. When somebody shares your content to their story, and you get a little alert on the upper part of your notifications, go in there and just say thanks to them with a double hands up emoji or a fist pump and say thank you. And then you hit the comment button where you can do the clapping hands, and the clapping hands go up. Do the clapping hands one and give it a heart. I've done that, and I've seen a resurgence in my one that's at 2.1. It's now surging again because I have responded to the shared comments or the shared posts at least 60 times in the past 3 days. At least 60 times.
I love it. I love it. Good.
Yeah.
As it relates to the podcast, do you ever send that out to like an email list, like your database? Because I know that we do that, and that actually works out really well in two ways, just for our viewers. One way, it basically lets your entire database, hey, look, there's this podcast here. You may want to click on it. The second way that it helps it out is that whenever people will start watching it from my email list, it actually bumps me up on YouTube as well too. Do you ever have your email list that you send this type of content to? If not, that might be some good advice for real estate agents as well too.
It's funny you say that. I'm in the process of getting my CRM updated, my database updated. That by next week, I'll be putting the finishing touches on getting it pumped out using BombBomb and getting that done to track that. I think that if you are a realtor, you absolutely should be sending out your podcast and your short form content every day. If you're putting out short form content or once a week, whatever, push that out as well, because just if you post it on Instagram doesn't mean that your audience is going to see it, or the people that you want to, be talking to is going to see it. So even if you're posting it on all the platforms like you and I are, I would still be sending that as often as you're posting content. Make sure you're putting it out in your in e-blast, and that's BombBomb, Constant Contact, Mailchimp are all good. And then you can retarget those people. I love BombBomb because you can look to see how many people open it. And if you get it gets opened 4 or 5 times, call that person. Don't say that you saw it. That's kind of creepy. But call them. You're in their ether. You're top of mind with them, and just say hi. How have you been? I've been thinking about you. And they're gonna go, oh my gosh, Jose, I love that video. Oh, that home is so gorgeous. How are you? How have you been? How's business? How's the market right now? And you go from there.
Well, that's the cool thing about the email list is that you can actually track who clicks and who opens. For a real estate agent, that's really good. What I wanted to ask you is, I think one of the things for your podcast, the Fargo Talks, you mentioned to me that one of the things is that you are extremely authentic in conversations, meaning like you're not really scared of any like negative repercussions. Has it ever lost you business on how authentic you are? Meaning like maybe it rubs somebody the wrong way, or considering that you're a title rep, maybe says, oh my God, I can't believe he said that about parenting or whatever it may be.
That's a great question. Jose, I'm 53 years old and I don't give a shit what people think about me. I do not fucking care at all. I don't care. I don't give a shit. And so I have found that if I've lost business, I haven't seen it, but the business that I've gained, and I have gained business from it, is the strongest connection ever. Because instead of putting yourself out to thousands, I'm going deep. And now I'm getting in front of millions. So it's paying off for me more than just money in business. It's I feel good about myself. Like you were saying at the beginning of our episode here, if we could do this forever and just be podcast guys, I think that's like our dream jobs,
Oh,
right?
big
Like
time.
this is it for us, right? And once we start doing this, it's like this is all I want to do. Like I still want to help people, with homes. I still want to help realtors market themselves, but I'm also leading by example. So that's why I'm fortunate enough to have podcasts like, with you, that I'm flying to LA next week. I'm flying to San Diego next week. I was on one here this week. That's a biggie. That's not even real estate related. So we just keep having those conversations, and this thing takes a life of its own. I sleep just fine at night. And if I'm losing business because of it, I don't care. I'd rather die happy than with money.
I love it. Good. So let me ask you this, like, what have been some of the challenges that you've had using social media? Would have been maybe some of the mistakes? Would have been some of the lessons that you've learned along the way?
I think that when I was younger, when I started doing this 20 years ago, having no filter and you're in your 30s or 40s, that's not that great. You haven't earned the right. I think I get a pass because of my age sometimes with people, and not because I'm just older. It's just I have more life experience. I've gotten up and shaved every day longer than you have. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying I probably have more life experience in certain areas, and I'm willing to share those without fear of judgment. I think that so many people are afraid of public speaking. So many people are afraid of video. And if you're afraid of video, what you have to come to the realization of is that people don't care that much about you. They just don't.
Mhm.
And people are so consumed about their own imperfections that if they see you on camera and you've got a piece of olive stuck right here, or you got some dry skin sitting right here, or whatever, they don't care. They're hardly even seeing it. If anything, the more imperfect you are on camera in a podcast or in a video in general, the more relatable you are to your audience, because they're just as imperfect as you are. And it shows them how imperfect you are. I tell a lot of times in real estate, it's predominantly female. I tell a lot of my female clients here in Vegas, some of the best videos you can do are two of them. The first one is bloopers. If you screw up, if you stammer, whatever, and you have to cut, post that. Oh my gosh, those are hysterical. The other one is the gym. And again, yeah, you can do the one like where you're doing a selfie in the mirror. That's nice. But the real good ones are you just got a good workout in. Women don't sweat, they shine or they glow. And you've got that post-workout glow. You've got the hat on with the ponytail through the back with little or no makeup on. get on the camera, get on your phone and shoot a video right then and there. It's so authentic and genuine. And you have that endorphin rush of being in the gym from your workout. Share that with me as your audience. I want to see that about you.
I love it. I love it. Is there anything else, Jeff, that you think would be helpful for our viewers as it relates to like short-term content, as it relates to podcasting, as it relates to marketing yourself as a real estate agent on social media?
I think the biggest things, Jose, are one, be authentic, be true to yourself. Everyone has a fingerprint, and even identical twins have separate fingerprints. Show me who you are. I want to see your video fingerprint, and that's your personality. If you conform to somebody else or a coach or something like that, you just become diluted in the pack. And then I'm not going to be that engaged with you on social media. That's a big one. The second one is consistency. If you say that you're going to post just once a week in the beginning, stick to that. Come hell or high water, you're posting once a week. I just got back from a trip. I took my daughter to Manhattan. She's 13 years old. We had a blast. But guess what? I was still posting my short form content every single day I was there. And what I did was, and this is really good for storytelling when you're on vacation, I know my audience well enough that whenever I was posting New York City, like in the vacation related content, that would go on my Facebook page, just regular post. By the way, Reels on Facebook, not that good, but Reels on your Facebook business page, really good. So if you're posting your Facebook business page, post to Reels. I see much better traction there. But I was posting to just Facebook regular posts, and then I was also posting that same post in Instagram stories. That's it. And then letting it grow. And now I've been back for almost a week. Every time I've had a meeting with an agent or on Zooms with clients, the first thing they say is, "Oh my God, Jeff, your vacation was awesome. I felt like I went on it with you."
I love it.
And I'm touched by that. And the thing is, Jose, I did it in a balance that my daughter knows I'm a social media guy and it pays the bills. But I wasn't like on my phone the whole time posting. It was certain times I did it, and that's it. Done. Moving on.
Got it. So I wanted to try something out with you that I haven't tried on any other episodes. I wanted to do like a little rapid fire. Since you have shaved more times than I have, I wanted just to get some random thoughts on a couple random topics. Some of them are related to the podcast. Some of them are not. First one is just social media. First thought that comes to mind as it relates to social media.
Diluted. Too many people throwing out crap, just posting total shit, and stop it. Just stop. If it's dog shit, don't post it.
I love it.
Don't also fake it till you make it is the worst saying ever. Don't ever say that to somebody ever. Especially about buying a home. You're going to fake it till you make it to buy a home. No.
What about family?
That's the most important thing in my life. My kids are my alpha and my omega. I do everything for them to make them better people. So if heaven forbid, if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I've made them better people. My son is 7 and my daughter's about to be 14. The biggest challenge with the greatest reward.
Got it. Life.
Ooh, the most wonderful journey that, as far as I know, that we can be on. Extremely important and changes as you get older. As you get older, some might drop off, other ones come on. It's something that's very fluid.
Got it. Love.
It's funny you say that. I'm in love for the first time in my entire life, and it's the greatest feeling in the world. It's the greatest feeling in the world to have a person that is my person. I am her and she is me.
Problems.
I never say problems. I say challenges. Problems are insurmountable. Challenges can be overcome.
I love it. Podcasting.
Arguably one of my top 3 favorite things in the world to do right now.
And then the final one, real estate / title business.
Always changing, never a dull moment. Never are 2 days the same. I've been in real estate for 30 and title and escrow for 10. I love it. I still love it. I think that it's evolving rapidly. And now with artificial intelligence, we're all going to get a lot smarter, a lot faster.
I love it. Good. Any final words, Jeff?
I want to appreciate. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm flattered. That your team reached out to me after seeing my content to say, hey, we'd love to have you come on Jose's podcast. I am humbled and honored just to be here. That I have a voice that you're interested in listening to, and that other people like it as well. And if I can feel that way, you can feel the same way too.
I love it. Good. So, Jeff, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I appreciate obviously you sharing with our audience. I appreciate getting to know you a little bit better. For our viewers out there, if you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you feel that this episode will be helpful to a friend, family, neighbor, make sure to hit that share button. To our viewers, thank you again for taking the time. Jeff, thanks again. And until next time, guys.